Hello everybody, this is Knisk, and today I will be going over a live demonstration of CucumberJS, the behavior-driven development framework for JavaScript environment. For dependencies, it is a must to have Node.js installed because we'll be using the Node package manager to manage CucumberJS dependencies. So without much ado, let's just go ahead and take a look. I have done this prior, so I have Node version 13.12 installed on my computer. Any other Node version works. So this is the first dependency, and the second dependency is a text editor. So for our purposes today, I will be using Visual Studio Code. Feel free to use any other type of text editor of your choice. So as a side note, the project that we'll be working on today is going to be super simple in the interest of time. And it's not meant to be like a fancy example. It's just supposed to give you an overview, an idea of what is possible with CucumberJS, how we can use it in a Node.js project, and hopefully it inspires you to use CucumberJS in your next JavaScript-based project. With that said, let's just dive straight into it. I'm going to go ahead and quickly create a temporary project folder for our project. I'm going to call it Hello Cucumber, and let's just cd into it and initialize our npm project. All right, that should have created it. And now what we're going to do is just open up our text editor here. I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code. So let's just look at what the package JSON that has been generated is for. We can see that we have npm test that we'll be using to run the test. We're going to go ahead and modify that in just a bit. So first things first, we need to obviously install Cucumber for this project. So the way we do that is we just do npm install Cucumber, and we save it as a dev dependency. And the reason we do that is because if we install it globally, then we're going to be missing some directives to Cucumber when we use it for our project. So that's not something we want because Cucumber is going to complain that it's not finding certain packages for our particular project. So with that done, let's just go ahead and take a look at this package JSON. Up there you go. Cucumber has been added as a dev dependency. So now what we can do is actually go ahead and set up our folder structure for this tiny application. I'm going to create a source folder where my main app will go and a test folder where our tests will go. And I will quickly create an app.js file, which we can leave blank for now. And we can go ahead and create a new folder called features within the test directory. Next, what we do is go ahead and create a new file at the root of our project. And we call it CucumberJS. And what this is supposed to do is we're just going to simply do a simple module exports on a default configuration for Cucumber. Here, we just want to make sure that we have our format options. This is actually Node's format options. And what we want to do here is we want to create the snippet interface as synchronous because this is going to be a very simple application. There's going to be no callbacks or crazy async-await code, asynchronous code, essentially, that we have to deal with. It'll be super simple, so we can just kind of set that up right here. We can just call snippet interface as synchronous, and I think this should do it. With that done, let's go ahead and now that the dev dependency is set up here, what we can do is get rid of this default test command and actually call CucumberJS. And because we want all our tests within the test folder, I am going to pass the test directory in which the features folder contains. And the reason we created the features folder is because Cucumber as a framework looks for this features folder. And within these features, you have .feature files, which will have all our scenarios and features listed and described in plain English. And from there on, we will be go ahead and creating steps. So the steps are what get executed as the test steps, and we'll get to it in just a bit. So at this point, what we actually want to do is create a new folder within our features folder, and we give it a name of step definitions. And if you can tell where this is going, basically all our step definitions are going to be within the step definitions folder. So that will be a JavaScript file. And the reason that is done this way is because, just as I mentioned prior, Cucumber uses the features folder extensively, and all features are marked with .feature files, and all steps are actually any and all JavaScript files within the features. They all get automatically detected as step definitions. So even if you don't have step definitions, but you have JavaScript files, be careful because it might try to detect it as a step definition, and it might complain that, oh, there's nothing defined if you have like a rogue JavaScript file just sitting there. So what we want to do in this step defs JavaScript file is actually call Cucumber, essentially. So we're going to just have constant assert, and this will be needed later on when we need to perform assertions for our tests once we call Cucumber. So from here, let's grab the keywords that we have discussed in the slide, given, when, then. And we're going to require Cucumber. All right, so now we actually have most of the things set up, and we have called Cucumber somewhere in our code. So what we want to do now is just go ahead and test out that npm test command that we set up in our package.json here and see if it loads up Cucumber. So if we do npm test, all right, we see that it loads it up. There's no scenarios or steps defined, so that makes sense. It's just so our project is pretty much set up. This is actually the part where we will be taking in the examples that we come up from our behavior-driven development example mapping workshops with our teams and turn those examples into scenarios. So these scenarios are defined in the features folder as .feature files. And this is also a good time to actually explain to you the concept of the application we're doing. It's a super simple application that'll tell us whether it is Friday or not, because who doesn't want it to be Friday? Although it doesn't really apply to us because we do have weekend classes, but let's just roll with it. So let's just go ahead and create a new file within the features folder, and let's call it is it Friday.feature. And here, what we want to do is first use feature, and here you can see autocomplete actually doing that for me because I do have a plugin for Gherkin syntax installed in Visual Studio Code. Hence, I am using Visual Studio Code. I love its plugin ecosystem, and I find that it makes development quite fast and easy. So here, let's just give some, description here. The feature is called "Is it Friday yet?" and the description is everybody wants to know when it's Friday because we all want to get out of work and just get home. Next, what we want to do is define a scenario. So here, let me just go ahead and use the scenario keyword, and what we want to do is check for a test. So our scenario here would be Monday isn't Friday. Right? Yes, Monday is definitely not Friday. So how do we do that? So we'll have our given keyword, which is going to check that given that today is Monday, then whenever I ask whether it's Friday yet, I will expect then that I should be told nope. There we go. So now that we have it typed up, let's just type npm test and see what it says. This is something different. So if we take a look at npm test, we can see that it gives us a bunch of warnings, and there's 3 U's. Now these 3 U's stands for undefined. And if we go down here, we can see that it says one scenario, which we have defined here, is undefined, and the 3 steps that we have, which is the given, when, and then, they're all undefined. Now, if we actually go over here, just look at these warnings, you can see it gives us helpful code snippets. It actually tells us that, hey, this is undefined. You should implement it with the following code snippet. So you know what we'll do? We'll exactly follow this warning, and we're going to copy paste these code snippets, and we're just going to dump it all into our step defs. To save time, I've gone ahead and copy pasted the code snippets here. So let's run npm test now and see what Cucumber has to say. We get a P and a dash dash. Now these are for each of these step definitions. And since the first definition was pending, it actually went ahead and skipped the latter 2. And in general, it's just marked that, okay, since the first one is pending, your overall scenario is just pending. So go ahead and write your actual function, and that's what we'll do. So before that, what I actually want to demonstrate is, now that we see everything is pending, I actually want to demonstrate to you how the tests would look if they were to fail. And to do that, what we will do is we'll simply go ahead and give some dummy data here. So we'll say that given today is a Monday. So here, let's just say this.today is Monday. Then when I ask whether it's Friday or not, I want the actual answer that we get from our application, which will be a simple function. We'll just call it is it Friday, and we pass in this.today, right? So I ask this function, is it Friday, and I pass in Monday. So obviously it shouldn't, but let's just go ahead and set it up that way because I want to demonstrate that. And we'll create an assertion here, assert equal to what we get back from the function versus the expected answer. And I actually want to take some time here to just let you know that this expected answer is actually going to be from the feature file that we defined. Notice how we defined this in double quotes and it's nope. So this is the expected answer in our step definitions. And similarly, this then condition, which reads I should be told string, where actually, if you notice this, we take the string, we pass it into a new function here that gets called, and then the assertion is going to take in whatever we get from our function that we define later on and compare it to the expected answer that we get from the Gherkin file, the feature file, sorry. So what we now want to do is just go ahead and head to our app.js file, and here what we want to do is just declare some dummy function that doesn't have anything because we don't really want to put in our logic just yet because it's behavior-driven development. So what we want to do just is a simple module.exports, and what we can do here is just do is it Friday, and that can actually be a function that takes in today. We can just leave it as is, and I'm just going to say come back to re-implement. So essentially it's an empty function. There's nothing going on here. Yeah, we just leave it as that. Now, in order to get it to be called here, we need to use that. So let's just define let app equals to require. So we're actually at this folder level, so we're gonna have to go 2 folders up. This is features, 3 folders up. Let's go into source and app. And I believe that should have it here. And we just have to modify app. Is it Friday? Okay, whoops, did not need to do that. All right, so now we should be calling this. And what we can do is test. All right, so let's dive right in and just run npm test and let's see what Cucumber says. All right, so it says that given today is Monday, and when I ask whether it's Friday, these 2 tests have actually passed. So we have made some progress, but then it fails where it says, then I should be told nope. So I wanted to demonstrate a failure, so that's fine. But in this case, it says expected answer is not defined. There we go. Okay, so I left this as string. I should have updated to be expected answer. And now if we rerun npm test, we should see, okay, there you go, that makes sense. Assertion error, undefined equals nope, and obviously it's undefined because our function doesn't do anything, it's empty. The next logical step is to quickly go ahead and fill up some logic to make this pass. And the easiest way to do that is to simply return nope. And let's rerun npm test. Voila, we have 3 steps passed and our whole scenario. I think now we're starting to get a hang of how the whole framework sort of works. So what we kind of can do now is just go ahead and add another scenario. So here, I'm going to go ahead and type another scenario. And here what we want to do is say, well, Friday is Friday. We want given today is Friday. When I ask whether it's Friday yet, then I should be told, thank God it's Friday. So there you go, to add a step definition where we set today is to Friday. So I'm just going to copy paste this and say today is Friday. This is our given condition. And we just set that to Friday. And what we want to do quickly is just run the npm test and see what it says. So it fails. And why does it do that? Well, because in our feature file, we said that if it is Friday, it should say, thank God it's Friday, TGIF. But instead, it's just returning nope because that's how we have defined our function here. So we can just add another condition here that whenever it is Friday, we will display TGIF instead. Quickly go ahead and make that change. I'm going to say if today equals Friday, then we can return TGIF. Else we return nope. And there we have it, our simple application. If we were to run npm test, everything passes. Now that we've gone over multiple scenarios and seen and modified our code based on our tests, it's time that I show you guys a really powerful feature of CucumberJS, which is actually using variables and examples. So in order to do that, we'll have to swap out our file here and actually swap it out from a scenario to a scenario outline. Now what we need to do here is, for scenario outline, we have to make things as general as we can because this will take in variables and we want to make it modular so that it works for any day and not just a defined day like Monday or Friday. So what we want to say is the scenario outline is today is or is not Friday. Is not Friday. And for our given condition, we say given today is not Monday, but instead what we do here is in double quotes add day, and this is how we specify variables. When I ask whether it's Friday yet, then I should be told. And again, over here we need dynamic answers for dynamic days, so we will switch this to a variable. Next, what we need to do is we need to have an examples section, and here we start defining our examples. And for our first variable, which is day, we can just create a bunch of tabs, and we can have answer here, different tab. What we want to do is we want to define a day. So let's say Friday, and for answer we want thank God it's Friday. Pretty simple here. Whoops, that's not thing. Now for another day, let's just say Monday, like we had. We want to say nope. And for anything else, really, what we do is do the same thing, nope, because it's not Friday. Now let's just save it. It auto formats for me because that's again another plugin that does it. It's pretty neat. So at this point, we just start replacing our step definitions because we have changed our scenario outline over here and they don't match what we had there. So let's just start changing that. So instead of this, we can get rid of the extra given here. We only need 3 because we've kind of made things modular. And here instead, as you remember, we take in that string parameter, like how CucumberJS defines it, and here we need to take in as a given day. And instead of Monday over here, what we want to actually set it is to the given day that we get from the feature file. This is fine. This stays the same. Nothing changes here. For this one, however, we have to just make sure that everything is okay. And it seems like everything is okay. I should be told this and grabs the expected answer from the condition. So we're good to go. So yep, all of that's remaining is running npm test. And boom, there we go. We have in our feature file 3 different scenarios actually, because if you think this is just the outline, but we've actually created, using this examples block, 3 different scenarios. One where day is Friday, one where day is Monday, and one where it is anything else. And all of them have passed because we have our definitions defined over here, and we have our logic defined within our app. So with that, this concludes the live demo portion. I hope that this have helped you understand a little bit more about Cucumber within a Node.js project-based environment. But yeah, that's all, folks. Thanks for watching.